Divine Grace, founder of ISKCON, Abhay Charanadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, Grantaraj Shrimadbhagavatam ki, Their Most Merciful Lordship Shri Shri Anakunja Bihari ki, Shri Jagannath Shri Baladev Mahi Subhadra ki, Shri Nathaji Shri Balagopal ki, Shri Shri Gauritai ki, Yitai Go Premana. All glories to the assembled Lords. All glories to the assembled Lords. All glories to the assembled Lords. All glories to the Lord of Spirit of Shri Guru, Shri Gauranga. Text 30. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Nato Jayamujilaya Nasta Praishu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Naishtaki Reading from Shrimadbhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 6, Text 30. Sahasra Yuga Paryante Sahasra Yuga Paryante Uttayedam Shisriksata Uttayedam Shisriksata Marichi Mishra Rishaya Marichi Mishra Rishaya Pranebhyo Ham Cha Jagnire Pranebhyo Ham Cha Jagnire Sahasra Yuga Paryante Uttayedam Sisriksata Marichi Mishra Rishaya Pranebhyo Ham Cha Jagnire Sahasra Yuga Paryante Uttayedam Sisriksata Marichi Mishra Rishaya Pranebhyo Ham Cha Jagnire
Sahasrayuga Paryante
Shasya Roga Paryante
Uttayedam Sisrikshata
Paritam Sisrikshata
Marichi Mishra Rishaya
Marichi Mishra Rishaya
Pranebhyo Ham Cha Jagnire
Pranebhyo Ham Cha Jagnire Sahasra 1,000 Yuga 4,300,000 years.
300,000 years.
Paryante, at the end of the duration, Uttaya, having expired, Idam, this, Shisrikshata, desired to create again, Marichi Mishra, Rishis like Marichi, Rishaya, all the Rishis, Pranebhya, out of his senses, Aham, I, Cha, also, Yagnire, appeared. Sahasra Yuga Paryante Uttayedam Sisriksata Marichi Mishra Rishaya Pranebhyo Ham Cha Jagnire. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace by Charnadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. After 4,300,000,000 solar years, when Brahma awoke to create again by the will of the Lord, all the rishis like Marichi, Angira, Atri, and so on were created from the transcendental body of the Lord, and I also appeared along with them. Please repeat. After 4,300,000,000 solar years, when Brahma awoke to create again by the will of the Lord, all the rishis like Marichi, Angita, Atri, and so on were created from the transcendental body of the Lord. And I also appeared along with them. After 4,300,000,000 solar years, when Brahma awoke to create again by the will of the Lord, all the rishis like Marichi, Angira, Atri, and so on were created from the transcendental body of the Lord, and I also appeared along with them. Purport by His Divine Grace of I, Charnadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The duration of a day in the life of Brahma is 4,320,000,000 solar years. This is stated also in the Bhagavad Gita. So for this period, Brahma rests in Yoga Nidra within the body of Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, the generator of Brahma. Thus, after the sleeping period of Brahma, when there is again creation by the will of the Lord through the agency of Brahma, all the great rishis again appear from different parts of the transcendental body. And Narad also appears. This means that Narad appears in the same transcendental body, just as a man awakes from sleep in the same body. Wow. So just going along with what I got the realization of this morning. Sri Narad is eternally free to move in all parts of the transcendental and material creations of the Almighty. He appears and disappears in his own transcendental body, which is without distinction of body and soul, unlike conditioned beings. Om Jnanatamranasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshusumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Wow. Narad Muni, a jiva, an atma like you and I, a soul, not Krishna, but a soul, having qualities such that he can remember all the way back to when Brahma was first brought out of his slumber or sleep of his yoga nidra. So this yoga nidra sleep that Mahavishnu is engaged in. He is awake while he's simultaneously engaged in a somewhat sleeping state. So I had in my mind the other day, it wasn't like a real deep question I was posing to Krishna, but the thought passed my mind. How could it be possible for anyone to be able to control everything that there is? How many billions and trillions of universes are emanating from that body of Mahavishnu? And this morning, it's peculiar the way Krishna is talking to me these days. I'm getting personal, what you could call, really confidential experiences with Krishna making sounds inside of my body for me to hear. I got the sound last week from asking him a question, and this is my answer. Like that. And then this morning, this is why I was laughing. This morning, I was asking about, how it is possible, if it's possible for the mind to be able to create itself these tastes that we have. And this is the sound I got this morning.
Okay.
Like someone enjoying the taste of food.
Okay.
And this made me laugh. Because I know this wasn't something I was creating. this sound was coming from inside of me. And it's like Krishna is using the sense I have of hearing to communicate a message to my mind. How he controls, he is himself in this material universe, in that form of Mahavishnu, lying at the bottom of this ocean, in a form of yoga nidra sleep. And in that he is creating the dream that all these universes, all this manifestation is. And when we dream, he creates our dreams. Think about that. So, when we cause suffering, he can cause us to experience suffering, and this will change what we do in our awakened state. And in this way, he's controlling. People don't know it. Some people don't have dreams. And so they are cut off from the remembrance of that. So it's not that they don't have the dream, but they don't remember the dream. Their senses are being closed off to that function. So Krishna is giving full facility of remembrance to Narada to reveal to us what is available as we surrender. Then I quoted the other day, I gave class, and I'm wondering, are these classes still going on? Because for the last 4 or 5, I haven't even been able to find any classes that I've given lately online. I don't know, maybe they're cutting them off because they may have certain screening qualifications. If I talk about certain cultures or something, there may be some censorship going on or something. But see, we try as devotees to see from a world perspective that position that all the people of the world are in, and where we know is best that all the people could get to. Are the general public welcome to the Philo?
To Trina's
Trinico, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, okay.
Of course.
So the doors are open when it is open, the doors are...
Of course.
But only on Fridays, did you say?
No. Yeah, that's on Fridays that I'm there.
That you're there.
That's a Rosicrucian book.
All right. Got it. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
See you later, Krishna.
Devotees are aiming towards the pure consciousness of not being able to offend anyone. And this was pure devotee, one of the Goswamis, I believe. He had gained such a reputation for having such a pure heart that he was respected by both atheists and devotees alike, because he had a way of revealing through his character that his only desire was to give the soul he was engaging with what would bring them closer to experiencing love for Krishna, love of God. So this is what Narad Muni is also in part revealing to Vedavyas about the significant importance. And in fact, Vedavyas is himself drawing this pastime out of Narad for the sake of revealing how significant these interactions with Krishna are, so that we can realize what it would be like for us to be brought back to normal. See, Narad Muni in that place where this verse is revealing he has access to, as do these Maharajas, these rishis, Maharishis. They come and go, and amongst them, that is normal activity. Yeah. And see, here we feel stuck. We're stuck in a material universe without the means of escape. And so our hope for the future is based on the faith we are developing to believe that these scriptures are true, to give us guidance. But see, Narad Muni doesn't lose memory. He retains all his knowledge of his previous. So what happens? Remembering ourselves, those pastimes of Krishna, hold with them. Do you have any knowledge of how electricity works? Okay, they have what's called the carrier pulse. They do this with medicine as well. They put a thing that is easily digested mixed in with the medicine. So the impulse, they can send on a radio wave, they send at a particular megahertz, and then the sound is kind of put on top of that sound wave. That's how they transmit sound through the air from city to city, from country to country, and now from nation to nation around the world. So the same way, we carry these memories of Krishna consciousness with us. Along with that memory will be where we were when we got that message. The people we were with that gave us that message. The association we had with those, because this is all eternal pastimes. So Narad Muni can tell us all these rishis and all these things that he had as friends, close friends, and give us ties. So this is how life in all of us is all tied together in one body of Brahma. Because we came out of Brahma's body also. But those that came out of the lower openings, these Maharajas and Marishis are coming up out of the upper openings of Brahma's body. And so Brahma is emitting seeds from many openings in his body. Jai, Shishigana Gandhi Adhijai Jai Baladeva, Jai. Now human beings are restricted to only give birth through the lowest opening in their body. We see from the scriptures that this is the cause of the false ego taking control of people without their knowledge that it is not the soul anymore exercising its free will of choice, but having surrendered to the control of the senses that is taken over by the control of the senses, and no longer is able to live out of free will, but control. And the mind itself will lead the soul to death unless it is trained. Because the mind goes by the senses of the body, and its direction is to find satisfaction. And everything it is believing, the soul who does not know God is believing that his senses are made as a means of enjoying and having satisfaction with the contact of the things in this material world. And that is what's securing his rebirth here again, is the attachments he's making to everything in this material world that he's interacting with. And it's not that devotees are not interacting with everything in this material world, but they're not looking at that as being their end, pleasure. They're looking at that as a means to fulfill the responsibility in this life to perform the functions of a devotee who is engaged in the spiritual energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so I speak very vaguely because that form of energy that the devotee engages in can manifest in many different functions, just the same way that the illusory energy is manifesting in many different functions in the material world. There are jobs that people are taking on according to their desires. Some people want to fish, some people want to weave cloth, some people want to cook, some people want to build homes. All kinds of these forms of energy that humankind is engaging itself in, believing itself by engaging in these activities to experience the pleasure, the end result of what we call karma kanda. Engaging in the material energy fruitively with the hopes of a result at the end of getting rewarded for our endeavors. But Krishna consciousness, although the same endeavors are made, the consciousness is of a different direction. It's the desire of the devotee to please the Supreme, from whom all things come. And I was asking Krishna about this interaction that we are having with life forms that cause us also to take a life form that is in its development stages and then cut it up into its body, cut it up into pieces, and it is itself on a stage of development towards eventually becoming a human being. But there's a difference between a vegetable life and those that are dependent upon mother and father for their existence. The plant is dependent upon the wind and the rain and the elements. The seed that it developed by, as its outer covering, came from a plant which could be said its father, but its father has no more connection to it. And so in this way, it is not being interrupted from its relationship with those other souls that are going to allow it to make advancement. And the form it is put in now, when the devotee uses it, it makes greater advancement than it would otherwise make if it was allowed just to be used on somebody's table for sense gratification. Because by being glanced at by Krishna, now, the same way a devotee is being glanced at by Krishna when he's offering his life to Krishna, now that soul no longer is bound by its own abilities even. Because now it has been brought to the utmost extreme perfection. That form it is manifested in can come to. Surrendering to Krishna is the utmost perfection a human being can come to. And then from there on, then Krishna takes over. And then perfection is attained when Krishna chooses to award that to the soul that has developed that desire to serve Krishna only. And then this process of Krishna consciousness that has been made so easy for us, day by day we get a chance to more purify that desire we have to be a pleasing servant to the one whom we're serving. to be more perfect at what we do. Develop those thoughts that are in and of themselves actually most powerful. Because if Krishna has invested all of his transcendental energies in his names, then gradually from those names, everything that leads to those names is progressing as a force. And Srila Prabhupada called it the purity. That is the force that is pulling us to Krishna, that we were desiring to find. When you taste a fruit, you want to taste the purity of that fruit that is the only taste available by tasting that particular fruit, right? When you taste a strawberry, you don't expect to taste a banana in a strawberry. You expect to taste the strawberry. But there is an original taste of strawberry that when it's manipulated by a man, the line loses it. The same way humanity at large loses its connection with Krishna by going off on its own way and saying, oh, I can do it better myself. And then is left to its own potency, just like a stick. One stick is very easy to break. But when you got a whole bundle of sticks tied together, you can't break them. And this is what association is, this is what the movement is set up. And this is what society, cities, and groups of individuals who share faith together is meant to do. Strengthen mankind. Give them the kind of strength with each other that will enable them to experience love. Love is the most powerful force in this universe, pulling us in the right direction towards the Supreme, from whom everything comes ultimately. And it is because people don't realize that they are looking at God for some other result than love itself within them. Because love itself within us pushes us to do something with that love, to give it to others. This is what the nature of love is, giving. What can I do that will be pleasing to you? Most people, because of the reality and the realization they have about the fact that God, whom we call Krishna, holds all power in his hands, then, of course, in our minds we say, therefore, then I have needs, so I should ask the one who holds all power. And Srila Prabhupada agrees, yes. If we are going to ask for something, Krishna's the one to ask. But when we come to a higher level of consciousness to understand that Krishna has the ability to instill within us his ability that we cannot instill within ourselves. Ultimately, that ability is to gain the highest form of pure love of God. But in order to gain that, then we have to surrender to this I, me, and mine concept that is keeping us as the false ego, the I, me, and mind, and the direction we aim at for the satisfaction and pleasure of. It is that keeps us separate from the pleasure of Krishna, from Krishna's pleasure. Krishna takes pleasure in seeing his children take pleasure, in giving pleasure to others and to him. If we can give pleasure to those that are looking for pleasure that can be found in the material world, but we give them spiritual pleasure. And when we teach them how they can be transformed into spiritual food, then we give them an eternal connection with the Supreme in this way. Everything that's connected with Krishna consciousness is a connection to Krishna. And he's giving us 9 different processes by which we can in some way be connected to the most that satisfies us, the most that we feel connected to, the most that we feel attracted to, the most that we feel qualified to. Not everybody likes to play specific musical instruments. Not everybody would like to learn how to play a harmonium. But some people can easily take a drum or kartals or rhythm sticks and find a melody, find a beat. But we all have varied abilities. And Krishna is the source of variegatedness, so that he takes pleasure. When you go outside in the morning, there are, well, of course, worldwide there are billions, maybe trillions of birds singing, and every single group of them has a different song. When you listen to them singing all together, they're making a chorus, just beautiful. I used to live in a cave in Arizona, and in the desert, there's so many different sounds of these creatures. The frogs, they're croaking. These lizards, they found these, some of these frogs, they make these great big, they blow up their throats while they're trying to attract the female species of their species. And at the same time they're doing that, they're making a sound that is like a mating song. It's like a song that the mother hears and she recognizes that somebody loves her, somebody cares for her, and somebody is wanting her to come to their attention. This is built into the species, how they attract one another. Just like the female, the hen of the peacock species. She is attracted by the male showing his growth of feathers. And I don't know what it means to her, but she requires of him, before she will accept his seed, she requires of him his own tears. And she will take him with her beak. And so this is again built into the species as an experience of family. They develop family and they give family gestures to their children for their children to bring up their young the same way. And it's all an expression of love being broken down into smaller and smaller forms. It gets down to the crickets, the birds, the bees, elephants, crocodiles. They all have family. But we don't eat anything that has family. So that's the difference between what Krishna will accept as that which is meant to be used for human beings to give these lower forms of life advancement, rapid advancement. They jump then from their bodies and them as souls having a useless life spent, for their bodies to just go back into the ground, and the soul having no purpose other than to be somehow born again. They turn into ghosts maybe. I don't know how they get back into a seed again. But they leave their bodies, it's a subtle body, it's like a ghost. And they got to get back into another form. And so a devotee is making that rapid advancement for that spiritual soul. The green pepper, the ginger, the fruit, the mango, the tree that it came from is a soul. And that soul gets tremendous benefit. So everything the devotee does is for the advancement of other souls. When you look at it, everything he preaches, every activity he engages in, making garlands. We give garlands to Krishna, and by doing that, then the flower that gave that flower, the soul that is in the plant of the flower that gave that flower, makes advancement. So everything the devotee's engagement is for the advancement of Atma, Jiva Tattvas, to come closer and closer to that perfection that lies as a realization of it's dormant within us. We know what perfection is because we've been there, but we don't know where to aim to get it. That's what Krishna consciousness is, aiming our direction at the target, which is what Arjuna had to do when he was getting married. He had to be able to see only one thing, nothing else. Exactly what he was aiming at. Had to see that. And by being able to see exactly what he's aiming at, that's the meaning of my name. Undivided attention. That's what we give to Krishna when we engage in service properly under the direction of the spiritual master. We give him our undivided attention. Then that way we have eternal connection. Undivided attention means eternal connection. And so it will continue to be undivided as we leave these bodies. But I'm seeing Krishna can transform these bodies while we're in them. He can bring us to that lake where he wants us to bathe. It's not a difficult task for him. He can give us the choice to leave when we want as well. What he was revealing as being obvious, that he's given that to Narad Muni. It's just a revelation of the truth of God. Reveals through the scriptures everything that God is. To some extent. Everything, yet just a little bit. It's a drop. Just like the drop of the ocean has everything the ocean has in it, but doesn't have the whales, doesn't have the fish. But the water and the quality of the water is the same. So similarly, we're little drops of Krishna's potent spiritual energy, but made of the same substance. That's actually nothing. When I started hearing these sounds in my body, that I suddenly realized Krishna uses our consciousness to communicate with us when we ask for wisdom. All he has to do is implant a thought in our minds. And that's what he does in answering prayers of that nature. So it's from my experience, prayers of that nature for wisdom, to develop love, to develop purity, develop the knowledge and the ability to give to people in a way that they can receive it and understand it. These kinds of prayers are those kinds of prayers Krishna takes pleasure in devotees making. The reason I believe that is because those are the prayers I've gotten the answers with really fast. We ask for things in the world which are actually detrimental to spiritual advancement. Because what does asking things in this world do but make us, prod us to ask more? I want more. I'm not satisfied with what I asked for. I'm satisfied with the fact that I got something that I asked for. So then it prods me to ask for more, ask for more, ask for more, rather than surrendering and being used by the one who has the ability to give us his own ability, not our ability, his own ability. This is the ability. Krishna is giving Narad Muni his own ability, Krishna's own ability in us. This is what the Bible says also. We are hoping Our hope for God is the hope of God in us to manifest his abilities. And then it will become known by others that the soul itself is capable of spiritual activities that are not able to be done by any other force, by any other desire, by any other connection. In order to serve God, you got to be connected to God. You got to want to do what God wants you to do. You got to have the desire. And mostly, from my experience, has been that is what it requires. You just have to want to. And Krishna will fulfill it. What do you want? That's what we have to ask every day, even every moment. There's the thought there of what we want, isn't it? That constant nagging of the mind. I want this, I want that, get me this thing. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't this be nice? Brand new this, I got a used one, I want a brand new. It's constantly nagging. The mind is like that. But the name, with the constant want of the taste of the name, then satisfaction is there, but it's the kind of satisfaction that brings with it the ability to gain more, because it's what we're supposed to do. And I got a realization from a statement Srila Prabhupada makes every morning when we hear him chanting, and he says, sit properly. I was with the devotee that made that recording for Chandralal Prabhu, and he said, devotees take that as a quote from scripture that Srila Prabhupada's revealing. There is a statement in Bhagavatam about how a yogi should sit when he's entering into meditation. But there was a devotee that had, at the beginning of that day, he reveals himself in a lecture he gave in Vrindavan. That he had practiced all day. He wanted to impress Srila Prabhupada with his yogic abilities. So he fell asleep. He started dozing off while he's chanting for Srila Prabhupada. Politely, he said, sit properly, to wake him up and make him start chanting again at his proper attentive state of consciousness. But see, sit properly, when taken from a philosophical perspective then, as a life application, means find the situation that Krishna wants you to be in. And find your proper situation and get situated there. And when you're properly situated and it will be by obedience that your guru has found in you the qualities you have that will most be suited to your serving Krishna, that you will most find satisfaction with, that you will most be able to apply your abilities to and get the greatest benefit Krishna consciousness has to offer. All devotees come with certain desires, certain assets, certain abilities, certain qualities, and it can all be used and dovetailed in Krishna's service. Any soul that comes to Krishna surrenders to Krishna. The magnificence of that quality of wanting to surrender, that's what Krishna finds pleasing. And that's what he manifests through here, the difference between the souls that are considered demons and the souls that are looked at by him as those that are serving the worthwhile cause. The cause that is pleasing to Krishna, to spread love of God like it's never been spread before, because we are at the most advanced stage of development of love of God that has been poured into this universe at every moment now and advancing. We are at the most advanced stage of the pour out of love that God is giving to the world through these literatures through these understandings, through the practices that we are now knowing, that we can attain to and to take part in, to be a part of, to experience the eternalness we cannot experience any other way. So that we can know beyond a shadow of a doubt that we have the path that gives what everybody's looking for. We have that in Krishna. And Krishna has that desire to give it to us. That's why he's written all of this. That's why all of this has been put into written form for us to be able to absorb this very sublime consciousness of Krishna having everything in control. Everything's in control. And everything's going to work out exactly like he wants it to. Boy, that's good to know. Then we don't have to fear about loved ones being put anywhere other than that place if there needs to be suffering. If Yudhisthira Maharaj, who is himself the embodiment of religion, he had to go through for moments a place where he had to smell hell. He had to smell hell. Now that may not sound bad. That's because we haven't smelled. And so it brought Yudhisthira to the point where he asked Krishna, how is it that you're putting me through this suffering? And I see Duryodhana now enjoying heavenly pleasures. Krishna told him, he said, the devotee asks for punishment first. If there's any punishment he deserves, he wants to take that upon himself first. And then being purified. And see, this is the development of a devotee's mentality day in, day out. We know suffering is coming if we break the regulative principles, if we act impulsively without controlling our senses, cursing at people, making things disadvantages for different situations like that. But the devotee is constantly aware of that and controlling his mind, controlling his senses, taking part in the activities that allow him to do that. And so he's becoming perfected day by day by day. And so that consciousness that he's automatically engaged in by day is not going to end on the day that he changes from this atmosphere, because he's sitting properly. He's properly situated. That's the meaning. That's the real meaning of sit properly. Be properly situated. And that's what this ISKCON is actually meant to do, is to be able, for people to be able to find their properly situated place in life, to gain spiritual advancement as rapidly as possible. And Krishna consciousness offers that. Now, there are other ways for people to experience that, but it will be more difficult. You can go hold a full-time job and go take a job in an assembly factory plant, pay taxes, and do the normal activities of a religious person, a righteous thing. At the end of life, everything that Krishna has promised you will get. Proportionately. That's why we all get exactly what we deserve. That's why we can put aside the fear of any family member suffering more than they deserve. We only get what we deserve, and with Krishna's mercy in there. So Krishna's mercy is being made available and revealed in the form of Tulsi Maharani as Krishna's own mercy. These books are Mother Saraswati's also, because the knowledge that when you're seeking Krishna, the form of it is energy that's coming as Mother Saraswati in the form of knowledge. So we are all feminine in that way. We need. Krishna is the only one who doesn't need. But by simply surrendering to Krishna, then we come to a state where we don't need either, except to serve. And in that service, then everything else comes. Everything is provided. We should be happy. We should be satisfied, fully fulfilled, just wanting, willing, ready to do anything, whatever Krishna wants us to do. That's what we should just be ready to do. So, time for prasadam. Any comments, any questions, any realizations? Grant Shrimadbhagavatam, ki jai. Srila Prabhupada, ki jai.